I never imagined the end of my marriage would begin with a slap in the face, right there, in front of 24 people. Some were friends, others just folks I had seen at barbecues. And one of them, a guy with a gym membership and a stupid grin, would soon leave with fewer teeth than he arrived with. It was a Friday night. My wife, Aida, had begged me to go with her to a birthday get-together at a guy named Takota's house. I did not want to go. I had worked a tough week on site and wanted nothing more than a quiet evening and some peace. But Aida was excited. Too excited. She spent 2 hours getting ready, changed outfits 3 times, walked out of the bedroom wearing a tight red dress she had not worn since before we were married. The kind of dress that does not whisper, it shouts for attention. I gave a half-joking remark. Asked her, "You dressing up for Takota or for me?" She cut her eyes at me and said, "Stop being so insecure. Maybe try not dressing like a couch cushion for once." Should have known something was off right then. Once we got to the party, Aida vanished almost immediately. I got stuck listening to Chayton and his wife ramble about their dog's latest vet visit while sipping on warm beer. I kept scanning the crowd, trying to find her. That is when I saw her, out back, by the patio, talking close with a guy I had never met. Looked like a wannabe model. Tight shirt, flashy watch, the kind of guy who curls dumbbells but never cracked a book. She leaned into him, giggled too loud, touched his arm like it was second nature. My gut twisted. I approached, forced a smile. "Aida," I said, "who's your friend?" She barely looked at me. "Oh, this is Kun. We work out together." Kun stuck his hand out like he was doing me a favor. "We've been sweating it out for weeks. Your wife's a beast in the gym." I shook his hand firm, tighter than I should have. "Glad to hear it." Aida rolled her eyes. "Can you not act weird for 5 minutes?" And right then I knew. I did not need texts. I did not need a detective. I saw it in her smile, in how she moved with him, like I was a stranger at her party. She was cheating. Plain and simple. I walked off, tried to cool my head. 10 minutes later, I caught them again, this time in the kitchen. His finger was brushing her jawline. Her hand rested on his chest. That was it. "Can I talk to you?" I asked, loud enough for folks to hear. "No," she snapped, turning like I had interrupted something unimportant. "We're in the middle of a conversation. You're my wife. We need to talk." Then she did something I will never forget. She walked up, smiled wide, and slapped me. Hard. Right across the face. The room fell dead silent. "Do not ever try to embarrass me again," she hissed. Kun stood there behind her, grinning like a hyena. Someone gasped. Another person laughed nervously. I did not think. I moved. I stepped past her and drove my fist into Kun's mouth. I felt the tooth snap on contact. He went down hard, blood smeared across his lips. Chaos broke loose. Aida screamed. Folks pulled me back. Someone shouted to call the cops. Kun groaned, holding his mouth, crumpled over the counter. I looked at Aida and said, "You thought slapping me in front of everyone gave you power? All you did was show the world what kind of trash you've become." She said nothing. Just stood there shaking, eyes wild, face streaked in makeup. I left. Drove without direction, ended up parked outside a roadside diner, staring at the neon light cutting through the windshield. I did not go home. Could not. Not after that. That slap, it was not just anger. It was a message. A final, clear message. I do not respect you anymore. You mean nothing to me now. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Because next time we talked, it would not be about patching things up. It would be about ending everything. I stayed out there until dawn, sitting in my truck with a busted hand and a burning cheek. My head ran the whole night like a projector. Her laughter. His stupid grin. That moment she laid hands on me. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, I called my brother, Waya. He answered half asleep. "You good?" "No," I said. "She slapped me in front of everyone. And I hit the guy she's been sneaking around with. I think she's been at this a while." Waya was quiet. "Where are you?" "Out near that old diner by Route 9. "Come stay here," he said. "Don't go home tonight." So I did. When I stepped into his apartment, one look at me told him everything. He never said, "I told you so." Just handed me a cold beer and turned on the TV. The next morning, I went home while Aida was still out. Her purse and laptop were there. She once told me, no secrets between us, so I opened her laptop and started digging. Emails, messages, photos, videos. Turns out that guy from the party? Kun was just the surface. The messages were to someone named Bidziel W. Different guy. Different affair. She had renamed his contact to throw me off. Slick. One message read, Last night was insane. Still feel your hands. Party's the perfect cover. He won't notice. Let's mess with him. Just for laughs. That broke something in me. I was a joke to her. A punchline. I kept reading. Messages to friends. Even her sister. They were in on it. Laughing behind my back. I did not cry. Did not yell. I just stared at the screen while the truth settled in. The woman I'd built a life with had become someone else. Cruel. Empty. She came home 2 hours later. "Oh, you're here," she said, sunglasses on, holding coffee like she just finished shopping. "Did you spend the night pouting somewhere?" I turned the laptop toward her. She froze. Eyes narrowed. "Well," I said, "go ahead. Tell me they're fake. That your account was hacked. Let's hear the lie of the week." She did not even blink. Just scoffed. "Took you long enough." "How long?" She took a sip. "Couple months. Maybe more." "Why?" She shrugged. "Because I was bored." "You're boring. That guy, he makes me feel alive. You haven't touched me like a man in a year." I clenched my fists, but I did not raise them. I am not that man. I walked to the hall closet and pulled out my old suitcase. She laughed. "Really? The dramatic exit?" I zipped the bag. "No. The smart one. I am walking away before I turn into someone I will regret." "Where are you going?" she asked, like she still had a say. "To peace. You'll come crawling back. You always do." But she was wrong. Because once a woman sees you as beneath her, the best thing you can do is rise. By the 5th day, hearing her name no longer made me wince. By the 7th, I knew I had to go back to the house, not for her, not to argue, but for closure. I needed to collect what was mine and send a message, loud and clear. This chapter of my life was done. I half expected Aida to be there when I walked through the door. Maybe crying, maybe armed with another cheap shot. But the place was quiet. Empty. Just the faint trace of her perfume hanging in the hallway like a ghost that refused to leave. I packed like a machine. Shirt by shirt. Drawer by drawer. Took only what belonged to me, my clothes, my watch, the guitar she always hated, the little wooden box where I kept our old anniversary letters, the ones I wrote that she never bothered to read. The letters that once meant forever. I walked through the house one last time. The bedroom. The porch. The kitchen where we used to dance barefoot while something boiled on the stove. It all felt like a museum now, quiet, stale, full of memories that had lost their warmth. Then I found it. A note, folded and tucked into the last drawer. My name written across the front in her handwriting. I should have tossed it, but I didn't. I opened it. "If you're reading this, I guess you finally left. Maybe you thought I'd beg. But truth is, we were over long ago. You just never saw it. You're a good man, but good gets boring. You were never a risk, never exciting. Brandon might not be perfect, but at least I feel something. I hope you find someone who fits your little safe world." I never did. I laughed, not out of humor, but because it was pathetic. Her final little jab, written in ink instead of spoken face to face. I ripped it in half and dropped it in the trash, same as she did with our marriage. As I stepped outside, I ran right into her. Literally. She pulled up in Brandon's beat-up car, and sure enough, he was still riding shotgun with a bandage across his busted lip. She was hiding behind oversized sunglasses again, acting like she was above it all. "Well, look who showed up," she said, arms crossed. "The runaway returns." I did not say a word. She smirked. "You done with your tantrum?" I stepped closer, calm but direct. "This isn't a tantrum, Aida. This is the last time you talk down to me like I'm beneath you." Brandon piped up. "You hitting folks again, tough guy?" I looked him straight in the eye. "You still talking with only 31 teeth?" His grin vanished. "Come on, babe," Aida told him, brushing past me. "He ain't worth it." But I stopped her with one last truth. I leaned in, just enough for her to hear. "You didn't break me, Aida. You set me free." She hesitated for a second, like maybe she expected me to grovel, to cry. But I didn't. I turned and walked off. No yelling, no begging, just peace. I called a lawyer that same night. Divorce papers were filed within the week. No kids, no shared debts, no house drama. I made sure of that early on. She always called it controlling. I called it preparation. She didn't put up a fight. Probably thought she was winning. Let her. The real win was waking up without that poison in my life. No more lies. No more performance. No more walking on eggshells. The process moved fast. Too fast. Like she could not wait to get my name out of her life. We were scheduled to sign the final papers 3 weeks later. My lawyer, an old friend named Matto, chuckled and said, This might be the smoothest, uncontested split I've ever seen. Almost like she's in a hurry to erase you, he added. I did not laugh. Because it was not just about betrayal, it was the speed at which she replaced me. 5 years wiped out like it never mattered. Traded for some sweaty gym rat with a weak jaw and a cocky smile. And through all that, she still played the victim. Her social media started filling up with those passive-aggressive quotes. Stuff like, let go of toxic people to grow, and strong women don't explain themselves to small men. Small men? I paid off her student loans. Paid for her mother's surgery when the hospital turned them away. I sat beside her through every anxiety attack, every family dinner with her silent cousins. I built our world from scratch, and now I was the small one. The day we finalized the divorce, she walked in looking like she was heading to a photo shoot. High heels, bright red lipstick, dressed in all black like she was mourning a career, not a marriage. She didn't even acknowledge me, just took her seat on the opposite side. Maddo read everything aloud. Asked us to confirm. She did not flinch. Just nodded. No hesitation. When it was done, she stood, grabbed her bag and said, well, that was easier than I thought. Then she turned, smirked, and added, guess you finally learned how to let go. I had so many things I wanted to say about her lies, her selfishness, how she drained the best parts of me and walked away when there was nothing left. Instead, I just smiled. You were never that hard to let go of, I said. It just took me a while to see it. That cracked her mask. For the first time, her expression faltered. No comeback. Just a twitch in her lips. And I left her there, heels wobbling, mouth shut. No more games to play. But it wasn't over. Not yet. 2 days later, she called. I let it ring. She called again. Then a text, can we talk? It's not what I thought it would be. I stared at the screen. No reply. Another message. I messed up. I didn't know what I had. That one made me laugh. The first real laugh I'd had in months. And then came the last one. I miss you. I thought back to every late night she ignored me. Every time she turned away. Every fake kiss. Every whispered excuse. The slap. The party. Brandon's busted grin. That cold smirk she wore as if I meant nothing. I blocked her. Not out of anger. But because I had finally learned something. You do not have to burn bridges when they already lit your whole world on fire. All you have to do is walk away. 3 months passed. Enough time for the dust to settle. Enough time for me to build something new from the ashes. I moved into a small place downtown. Quiet. Clean. Mine. I bought a second-hand couch, a coffee maker that didn't leak, and started cooking again. Thought it would feel like survival. Turned out, it felt like peace. There was no shouting in the mornings anymore. No icy silences across the bed. Just space. Just me. People kept asking questions, like they always do. Coworkers leaned in over coffee. So, what happened with Aida? Friends tossed out half-baked concern. You sure you're holding up okay? Even my mother, bless her, clung to some hope. Sweetheart, she said one day. Maybe she just got mixed up. People make mistakes. I wanted to tell her everything. About the slap. About Brandon. About how Aida stood across from me, looked me dead in the eye, and called me boring after I gave her the best years of my life. But I didn't. I just said, it's over, Ma. Let her hold on to her fairy tale. I was done pretending. One Saturday, I walked into a gym I used to avoid. Funny enough, it was the same place where Aida met Brandon. But I wasn't there to spy or see ghosts. I went because I needed to fix something, and it wasn't just my body. My body was a symbol of how I'd let myself go, how I'd been worn thin and tired. I needed to feel solid again. Not just stronger arms, but a stronger spine. I threw myself into it. Weights, cardio, discipline. I did not go to look good. I went to feel good. Every drop of sweat was a piece of myself I was reclaiming. With each set, I was taking back something she had drained from me with her insults and fake smiles. And something strange happened after that. I started noticing myself again. Not in a mirror, not through anyone else's eyes, just me. Not the tired husband, not the guy scrambling to save a love that was already dead. I was just me. And for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough. Then one afternoon, I saw her. Aida. In the same grocery store we used to shop together. She was standing in front of the frozen vegetables, fighting a shopping cart that had a broken wheel. No Brandon. No designer sunglasses. No smug attitude. Our eyes met. She blinked. I gave her a simple nod. She walked up, slow and cautious, like she wasn't sure if she should speak. Hey, she said. Hey, I answered. She looked thinner. Not in a healthy way. Like life had been chewing at her a bit. The sharp edge in her voice was gone. What was left sounded worn and tired. "You look good," she said, half smiling. I nodded. "Thanks." There was a pause. She tucked her hair behind her ear, an old nervous habit I remembered well. "I, heard you blocked me," she said. "I did." She gave this little awkward laugh. "Guess I had that coming." I said nothing. "I moved out of Brandon's," she added, like she hoped I'd ask why. I didn't. "It wasn't what I thought it'd be," she said. There it was, that line again. Like realizing the grass was not greener, made up for torching the lawn. "I'm not here to make a scene," she said, holding her hands up. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry." I looked at her, really looked. Still beautiful. Still the same woman I used to hold under summer skies. But now, I could see past the shine. Past the pretty. I saw the rot. The selfishness. The way she shattered things and called it growth. "You weren't sorry when it counted," I said. "You slapped me in front of people. You laughed at me while I bled inside. Now that it's quiet and you're alone, you're sorry?" She looked down. Voice small. I was chasing something wild. I thought I needed excitement. But now I'd give anything to go back. She knew. It was too late. She stepped back. Anyway, I just needed to say it. "Take care of yourself." She turned. Started to walk away. "Julia." She stopped. "Next time you get bored," I said, "try a new book, not someone's life." She did not turn around. Just nodded and kept walking. Me? I grabbed a steak, paid in cash, and drove home. Alone. Peaceful. Something changed that day. It was like finishing the last page of a long, painful book. And instead of reaching for the next one, I just let it be. Let the silence stretch. Let the stillness settle. I deleted the social apps. I stopped checking her updates. I did not care who she was seeing or what passive-aggressive quote she posted. She could rewrite her version however she needed to sleep at night. I was too busy living mine. I found new habits. Morning runs. Writing in a notebook. Drinking black coffee on the balcony and watching the sun roll in over the rooftops. All the stuff I used to think lonely people did. Turned out, it is what healing looks like. Then one night, Kyle and I hit a quiet bar. Just two brothers, a few beers, and no expectations. That is where I met Emily. She was not flashy. No filters. No high heels. Just a green sweater, messy bun. And this looked like she saw the whole world and did not need its approval. She laughed without trying. Spoke like she had nothing to prove. When I told her I was divorced, she did not flinch. She asked one question. "Did it break you or build you?" I blinked. Thought a second. "Both," I said. But the building part came later. We talked for hours. Music. Books. Strange dreams. I did not try to impress her. I didn't have to prove I had survived. I was just me, and she seemed okay with that. We kept seeing each other. Quiet walks. Long talks. No pressure. One day, I called Aida poison. Beautiful, sweet-smelling, smooth, but poison all the same. Emily nodded. "And you?" she asked. "Still healing. Every day." She smiled. "Then you're already ahead of most." And she was right. It hit me all at once. I was not just moving on from Aida. I was finding my way back to myself. Slowly. Piece by piece. Yes, the scars were still there. I would never forget the sting of that slap, or the way she laughed at my pain. But that stuff, those wounds, no longer defined me. They were memories, not chains. Then, one night, a letter came in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo, me and Aida on our wedding day. Young, smiling, blind. There was a note. "You'll always be my greatest mistake. I hope you find something real." I tore it in half. Not because I was angry. Not because I hated her. But because it did not matter anymore. She could keep her regrets. I was done carrying them. I had survived hell in a red dress. Now, I was walking toward something better. Maybe not perfect. Maybe not epic. But real. And that was enough. Summer came early that year. Funny how time speeds up when you finally start living again. The days slipped by like sand through open fingers. And the ghosts that used to haunt my mornings? They started fading into nothing. Emily and I spent those warm months doing nothing that looked like a movie, but everything that felt real. Road trips with no destination. There were nights when Emily and I would end up at the grocery store around 10 o'clock, dancing down the aisles like we had the whole place to ourselves. We'd burn dinner half the time, laugh about it, and eat pizza straight from the box sitting on the kitchen floor. Nothing about it was perfect. But for once, I did not feel like I was bracing for the next blow. I was not looking for someone to complete me. I had already rebuilt that on my own. What I needed was a partner, someone who would walk beside me, not over me. And that is exactly who Emily turned out to be. One evening we were out on the balcony. The city was glowing soft under the setting sun. Emily was curled up in her chair, sipping wine, watching me with this calm look like she already knew where my thoughts were headed. You ever think about how close you came to wasting your whole life? I asked. She didn't even blink. You didn't waste it, she said. You lived through it. I let out a breath and nodded. Still, I stuck around way longer than I should have, trying to fix something that didn't want fixing. You were loyal, she said. That is not a flaw. It just was not valued by the person you gave it to. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I saw someone who was not trying to fix me, change me, or shrink me down to fit her needs. She just saw me exactly as I was. No edits, no filters. She reached out and touched the back of my hand. Same hand that once knocked out Brandon's tooth. Same hand that used to shake with rage. Now it sat still, resting in hers, quiet and at peace. You ever hear from her? Emily asked softly. Not a word, I said. And I hope it stays that way. And it did. Aida disappeared from my life completely. From what I heard through people we used to know, she moved away, bounced around between jobs, tried dating someone new, then stopped. None of it mattered anymore. She was like smoke, trying to keep shape in the wind, but always slipping away. But sometimes, I would still remember. A laugh at dinner. The way she used to trace little circles on my chest while we watched old movies. That one night we danced in the kitchen to no music, barefoot, half drunk, just happy. Those memories used to gut me. Not because I missed her, but because I gave the best parts of myself to someone who was never real. Someone who pretended to love me while planning her exit. Nobody warns you about that part. The affair hurts. The slap cuts deep. But what sticks is realizing you were genuine, and they never were. Seasons passed. Months stacked into a year. I did not mark the divorce anniversary. No cryptic social posts. No midnight toasts. I just woke up, drank my coffee, kissed Emily on the shoulder, and went for a jog. Because that is what healing looks like. It is not some explosion or courtroom monologue. It is quiet. It is peaceful. It is choosing not to look back anymore. At some point, I stopped wondering if she regretted it. If she missed me. If she stayed up at night thinking about what she threw away. Because the truth is, I did not care anymore. And that kind of peace? That kind of earned, hard-won indifference? That is the most freeing sound you will ever hear. It happened on a Sunday morning. The light was creeping in soft through the curtains. Emily was still asleep beside me, her breathing slow and steady. One hand was resting on my chest like it belonged there. I laid there and just listened. No dread. No anger. No weight pressing against my ribs like it used to. Just stillness. That was the moment I knew. It was not just about Aida anymore. I was done with all of it. The what-ifs, the regrets, the mental rewinds trying to figure out where I messed up. Because I didn't. I showed up. I loved hard. I gave more than I probably should have. And I tried to save something that, truth be told, had never really been whole to begin with. That's not weakness. That's character. Her betrayal did not define me. The slap did not break me. Her lies did not finish me. I walked through that fire and came out the other side. Stronger. Wiser. More myself than I had ever been when she was in my life, smiling with her lips and lying with her eyes. And if there's one thing I could pass along to any man standing where I once stood, it is this. Do not wait for closure from the person who broke you. They don't have it. They never did. Closure is something you give yourself, the moment you see the truth and finally believe it. She betrayed me. She tried to humiliate me. She twisted the story so I looked like the villain in her version of events. But I don't carry her version anymore. I carry the lesson. And the biggest one? When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That morning, I rolled out of bed, careful not to wake Emily. Walked barefoot onto the balcony. The air was cool. The sky was clean. And the whole world seemed to exhale right alongside me. I looked out, feeling that breeze cut through the quiet, and I knew, deep down, unshakably, I would never go back. Not even in my mind. That chapter? It was not home anymore. This was.